Paratopic is a first-person horror bad dream simulator developed and published by Arbitrary Metric in 2018. The Steam page describes Paratopic as an atmospheric, retro 3D horror adventure through a cursed fever dream. And yeah, I'd say that describes it pretty well. The game follows the only somewhat related stories of three people, a birdwatcher, an assassin, and a smuggler. The smuggler is transporting VHS tapes across the border, the birdwatcher is watching birds, and the assassin is... We start off being interrogated by border security. We've been caught trying to sneak VHS tapes across the border. What border? We don't know. What's on the tapes? We don't know. Is this just a thing this guy usually does? Or maybe are the tapes doing all that? Or we just don't know. But you know, if some unknowable, maleficent, transdimensional force were to bleed into our reality, I'm really not surprised that it's through VHS. Fucking everything was on VHS. There is a part early on when playing as the birdwatcher where we come across a dilapidated old shack in the woods. Inside the shack is a staircase leading down to a door that can't be opened, at least at first. We descend the cyclopean staircase and find ourselves in what looks to be an old control room. After switching a breaker and powering on the monitors, a discordant, staticky jingle plays and a video follows. It looks to be an informational video about a group known as the Power Company. The video speaks of some grand project, fighting for a better tomorrow, and thanking those working on the project for the sacrifices they've made. We're not given much more than that, but considering the state of the facility you found the machinery in, and later the plentiful amount of damaged storage containers strewn throughout the forest, bearing the Power Company's logo, and the seemingly damaged state the world is in, I think it's safe to assume that the Power Company wasn't successful in their efforts. The world and the tone of this game give me a feeling of an almost post-apocalypse, but a very distinct type of post-apocalypse. Not like a sexy, everything is completely destroyed Fallout or Mad Max type deal, but something quieter. A few points throughout the story, you're making these long drives towards the border. First, you drive through what seems to be a dilapidated city, or at least one in disrepair, and the road twists from the broken city into an endless stretch of county, with either sides of the highway beset by damaged electric towers, the skeletons of old barns, and broken silos. It feels like everything is taking place in the aftermath of a larger breakdown or some mass disorder. Things feel like they aren't how they once were, and definitely aren't how they should be. The world feels barren and quiet, more so than it should, and the game conveys this entirely through atmosphere, bleak visuals, and often decrepit environments. Another way Paratopic conveys its quiet dread is with long stretches of It loves to make you wait and really forces you to soak in its atmosphere. It spends quite a bit of its pretty short runtime building quiet tension, forcing the player to sit in silence with the ever-present, constantly rising feeling that something bad is just waiting to happen. Paratopic doesn't quite feel like a nightmare, at least not most of the time, but it definitely delivers on feeling very dreamlike. But that dream in question still isn't a very good one. Or at least I assume so. All I ever seem to get when I go to sleep are stress dreams and static. I can't remember the last time I had a dream that left me with anything other than anxious confusion or a vague sense of ennui. What was I saying? The story is presented in these strange, seemingly disconnected chunks. The instant and always jarring way it cuts from scene to scene, the strange conversations are all very dreamlike. And on top of that, there's also this slowness to the world. Everything feels like it's not moving as fast as it should be. This place is indeed strange and filled with strange folk. It feels like something big has changed the rules of this place, and now this is just the way things are. The power company was working on big things, but now they're gone. And in their wake, all we're left with is questions. And that's why I love little titles like this, the questions. I know I usually talk more in depth about the story of a game, but I'm just gonna cut it here. If this looks like your kind of thing, you should really go play it. Visually, I think Paratopic is an absolute treat. A bleak, kinda sad treat, but a treat nonetheless. The models and environments exist in that chunky, low-poly look, very in the spirit of the PlayStation 1, and that's how we like it, goddammit. The faces the characters have almost look like somebody took a real photo and scuffed the absolute hell out of it and then wrapped it around a model, and I can't be certain if that's what they did, but that's what I think of when I look at them, and I do like the way that looks. The environments are also considerably low poly, with almost everywhere you go in the game is dirty, broken down, and just desolate. The game's environments all convey a very lonely, quiet atmosphere, and I really like it. There are a few places in the game that also have very pretty lighting, like driving along the highway into a red dusk, or light streaming through the dirty window of an apartment lobby, a single street light illuminating a car on the side of the road. Very pretty stuff. You know, at first I was going to say that there isn't any music in Paratopic, until I realized that that statement was completely and utterly wrong. There are about 10 proper music tracks in the game, which most being very subtle atmospheric tracks that they really complement the scenes they're in. Actually, they complement them so much that half the time I didn't even realize they were playing. They often blend really well into the background, so much so that I'm never really sure what is OST and what's diegetic. The tracks all have a very ethereal and haunting vibe to them. Kind of spooky, kind of unsettling, but also a strange calm. I don't really know what the fuck I'm talking about when it comes to describing or reviewing music, so I'm just gonna say that I like it. It's thematic, it fits the setting, and one of the tracks is straight out of Hotline Miami. I'm not done with sound though. Despite having songs, Paratopic also loves using silence or diegetic sound to set a scene. Most notably during the driving segments, where you're accompanied down long stretches of highway, with only the muffled sounds of your vehicle and talk radio if you're into that sort of thing. Speaking of, all the dialogue in Paratopic is delivered in this muffled, semi-coherent muttering. It's kind of like sounds you can almost make out what they're saying if you're kind of listening to a conversation through a wall. It all adds to the very dreamlike tone the game is working for. Things are strange in the world of Paratopic, and all does not seem well. We really never get an explanation for why things are the way they are, who these people really are, or even why they're doing what they're doing. And to be honest, that's one of the reasons I love this game. It gives you a tiny peek into another world, a little tease of somebody else's weird brain working, and gives you just enough to set your own mind working and wondering on the machinations of this place. The dreamlike quality makes me wonder what happened to this place. What are its rules, and how did it get this way? Are the videotapes like drugs? Are they sustenance? What was the power company working on? Did they open some kind of door? Did they let something through? Are the tapes a product of the power company's meddling, or a circumstance of it? What does this logo mean, and why is it similar to the power company's logo? Did they know what they were meddling with, or did they stumble on something they shouldn't have? Just, God, I love this shit. I guess you could refer to it as Lynchian, or kind of surrealist. I don't know, I'm just a dumbass talking about video games. Paratopic is a ride. It's short, surreal, and overall I just think it's neat, and I wanted to talk about it. I don't know, you can go play it and tell me how wrong I am, and call me an asshole in the comments or whatever. Either way, that's all I've got today. Thank you for watching, stay safe, and take care of yourself.
It's so cold out here.